Three, two, one. Welcome back to the Brandon K Show. This is a real show. Do you remember the '90s? Remember the '90s? Where'd you go? Remember the '90s, Alan?
I do remember the 90s. Hi, everybody.
Do you,
Hello.
do you
Remember the
remember?
90s.
Do you remember the show on VH1 called "Remember the '90s"?
That was a good show. Yeah. Did they do all of the eras? They did remember
They
that, or
did.
was
They
it
had
mainly
like
the
a "That's
90s?
So '80s." Remember the '90s?
Remember the
Maybe they got to
90s.
the
Yeah.
2000s. Even though we were in the 2000s, they started to talk about the 2000s.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
All they did was just go back and forth talking about all this great stuff that happened in the 90s, and that's what we're going to be doing here today on the 90s roundup.
Very good. Very good. I'm
And
excited.
Alan and I grew up together in the 90s, side by side.
True. It's true. It was a
Alan
big
is my
era.
brother.
Yep, that's me, Alan.
But before we
Hello,
get
everyone.
into talking about all the great stuff in the 90s, I'm gonna I'm gonna, I'm gonna say that Brandon K Show is brought to you by Gift Apply, and I have a short spot here to show you.
This wrapping paper is disrupting the industry. Each wrapping paper design tells a story inspired by the missions of our nonprofit partners. We have a diverse set of causes you can support, from childhood cancer research to conservation and animal welfare to LGBTQ plus youth and more. Our paper is sustainable too. We use soy-based inks on 100% recyclable newspaper print for a boutique quality finish. And remember, now every gift can give back with Gift Apply.
Gift Apply charity wrapping paper, the gift wrap that gives back. Use promo code BK Show for 25% off, and 33% of your any purchase goes to one of those great causes. So,
Great. Love
Alan,
that gift apply.
yeah, thanks for joining me today, Alan. Great
Yeah,
person
definitely.
the '90s with. You remember every night of the '90s? Well, Monday through Friday, we'd watch Mr. Jay Leno.
Yes, Jay Leno. The
This is kind
Tonight
of his
Show
early.
with Jay Leno.
This is his early look.
Did you hear about this one? Did you hear about this one?
He'd do his monologue. I wasn't a huge fan. You liked Jay Leno a lot, it seemed.
Yeah, I liked his monologue. It was interesting because this is a little bit of a it's TV related, but I kind of started watching that right at the time of OJ when OJ was very big, and Jay was definitely doing a lot of OJ things. He had the dancing Edos, so
Dancing
Lance
King.
Ito was the judge,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was a big thing. He was like, it was kind of like he was
The Dancing King.
he was kind of starting he'd been on for a few years on the Tonight Show, but he started kind of hitting a stride, and so like I'd heard a little more and more about it, and so I kind of start checking it out, and I enjoy it. It's good to see the the big A-list celebrities would be on there. It was cool.
I have something to say about that, but yeah, for anybody who wasn't even born in the '90s, the Dancing Ito was the judge over
Lance
the
Ito.
OJ case, and then he
Yeah.
had a bunch of guys come out dressed in their judge robes and dance, and they were the dancing judges. And did he do that multiple times?
Yeah, it was kind of I mean, it wasn't like an every night thing, but it like, it was definitely I guess a running gag, and people liked it, so then he'd bring it out every once in a while, so you had to kind of
I I was more of a Conan fan,
yeah, Conan O'Brien.
but it was funny because I remember even in the '90s, like you'd have like the same guest on Jay, and then some of the same jokes from Jay, and then they'd be on Conan. It seemed like he was just like copy and paste, like doing Jay's show,
Right. Well, I
except for
think
his fun stuff. I mean, then he'd throw in his just bizarre fun.
yeah, Conan was a little bit more. I liked Conan more as well. I think he would actually Jay was famous. He would do a very long monologue. I mean, I was probably like 8 minutes, 10 minutes sometimes. Conan would only really do three jokes, and then they would jump into the bit at the desk. So sometimes they'd be like driving the desk. There was a lot of big people that were on that show that kind of came like Amy Poehler was on. Maybe not big, but there was like a lot of
Louis
like
Louis
improv kind of guys.
Louis C.K. was a writer in the early days.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
and
mean, he would do bits and stuff, but you didn't know. I mean, you didn't really know who he was, but no, Louis C.K. was on there all the time.
Yeah, yeah, that was a funny show. And then I don't know if you knew, but Conan's been getting some hype the last few days, I guess, because
What's the
of
hot? Oh, hot
he
ones.
was yeah, he was on the Hot Ones show, and then everybody's been like, "Oh, Conan, he's so funny," and then people are talking about like how they miss him on Conan. He was like getting a trending on Twitter or something, or on X
And then
yesterday.
I saw he was on Jimmy Kimmel telling Jimmy Kimmel Jimmy Fallon that he's doing a great job. He was on the Tonight Show.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. That was a whole crazy time.
That
I
was one of my
believe. Yeah, did they called him the masturbating bear? I think they would actually come out and say.
favorites.
For some reason, he was wearing a Duke shirt. Yeah, they had a lot of funny bits on there. They had the mascots for the different when they had March Madness, they would like make up mascots that they would do.
Oh yeah, it was a
By the time.
great. It was, and anyways, did you watch the Hot Ones with Conan?
I've seen the highlights. I'll probably need to watch the whole thing at some point. But he looks like he's pretty crazy. He's just eating
Uh,
everything. He was like drinking the. He was he's very known for his shtick. He's very like he's just wacky. Even as like dealing with him as a human, he's
yeah.
crazy. Yeah,
So
but
there's
I
all
love
these
him.
great shows to talk about, like Frasier, The Wonder Years.
Yeah, Wonder Years. Gotta love that one.
I will come back to that, but we're talking late night TV. How about these characters?
Oh yeah, Saturday Night Live. That was the look at that lineup there. You got Chris Rock in there, Adam Sandler, David
Hold on.
Spade,
Actually, oh yeah, Chris Rock. There he is. Tim Meadows,
yeah, Tim Meadows,
Rob Schneider.
Kevin. It's interesting because this picture, oh maybe this was after Mike Myers left, because you got Dana Carvey in the middle there, but no Mike Myers.
I
So
am surprised to see Dana Carvey and no Mike Myers, but I guess that's
yeah,
how it went.
there was probably a year where Mike Myers left, and then Dana Carvey stuck. This was probably like the year right before the new cast came right in.
These guys were all stand-ups.
Mm-hmm.
This was the year
Mm-hmm.
that they hired a bunch of stand-ups. David Spade, Chris Rock, Adam Sandler. They were all just stand-ups. Same with Kevin Nealon.
Yeah. You know, an interesting show that we didn't think about that you may remember, and I think about it from time to time, that was a great show, is News Radio. Remember News
Oh yeah.
Radio? And actually, yeah, the reason I think of that is because yeah, Phil Hartman was on there,
You know
and
what?
then
I
you
was
had
thought about it yesterday because I was telling somebody that I that's where I first saw Joe Rogan,
yeah, Joe Rogan was on that show.
and
He was
they're like Joe Rogan was on a sitcom. I never knew that.
yeah, he was like a stand-up comic, and then he was on News Radio as like a handyman kind of a guy.
And he went on to do Fear Factor, which was
Oh
I guess more
yeah, Fear
of a
Factor.
breakout thing.
Yes.
Here we go. I got it.
Is that the News
New
Radio?
News Radio with
Oh yeah.
Andy Dick,
Andy Dick was on there.
Dave Foley, Joe Rogan.
Moira Turney, she was in Liar Liar.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you
That
know
was
who the guy? Do you know who the guy to the left of Dave Foley is, and what other part
I
he's
know he's Jimmy James on the show. Oh, and
Jimmy?
I
Oh,
think he's Stephen Root, maybe.
yeah, yeah. Do you remember his other big role he played? That's pretty hilarious.
He played Melvin or
Milton, Milton,
Milton
Milton.
on
Mm,
on Office Space. Yeah, no, this was a
Office
great show.
Space.
News
Yeah.
Radio, and then when Phil Hartman died, he was replaced by John Lovitz.
Oh yeah, John Lovitz. John
So
Lovitz.
this is a real walk down memory lane. John Lovitz. Remember
Yeah, John Lovitz would have been like late '80s on SNL, but he wouldn't have been in the early '90s. What did you just say?
I said, remember John Lovitz?
I do remember another famous show that we loved in the '90s that he was on.
Oh, let's do it. Hold on. I think so the fun part about the John Lovitz show from the 90s, The Critic,
Yes, The Critic.
is that in today's society, some of this stuff is coming back in TikTok form or real form, and you'll just catch clips of The Critic, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, it was a funny show.
And Seinfeld, especially, a lot of my feed is
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld, and all the great, even like little stuff about Seinfeld that has nothing. You don't even need to watch the whole episode. It's just like this funny moment, and they'll just pop it up on my TikTok.
Yeah. Oh, there he is, the
It
critic.
stinks.
It stinks. That was pretty much his main review of all movies. He was just kind of the synopsis of that show was that he was a movie critic, kind of like a Siskel and Ebert, but he was just doing it by himself, and he would kind of do the movie. And I think he had a son on there, like it was him and his son.
Seems like I've been seeing the clips, and a lot of the jokes are just that, like, he's a fat, ugly loser, and
Classic.
people are just like screaming as he walks by, and just like he's calling him hideous, and
Oh, it's
but
good. But it's and then he would just say it stinks. And then yeah, that came out kind of, really primetime animation was not a thing pre The Simpsons. Like that I mean, I guess I've heard that like the Flintstones was maybe primetime at some point.
well,
I don't
the critic would be one of those first early ones to try to be like the Simpsons before Family
yeah,
Guy came around.
yeah,
I got
definitely. They
another
probably
one. I got a real because this is just it's just fun to reminisce and when you get together with friends or your brother. Um, but because you can just say, "Hey, remember this one? Remember this one?" and we can do it right here. Alan may or may not remember this one. I bet you will. So this one, they were before the critic. This is a cartoon. The Capital Critters.
Oh, that's a real callback. I hadn't thought of that in 30 years, maybe. I don't even know if I watched an episode. I mean, I probably did, but wow, that's a so what's the story behind that? Was that a primetime thing they
I don't think
did?
it lasted. I don't think it lasted very long. I just remember it came on. It was like after this. Who knows if it was on prime time, but I don't remember if it was after The Simpsons or what. But it was like a show. It take place at the White House. They're all rats, and it didn't last very long.
Yeah, that's
So there
crazy.
were shows like this that didn't last very long. Even The Critic only lasted a season or two.
Yeah, they were kind of throwing a lot of like animation on the at the wall and a lot didn't really stick. I think the first big thing to kind of maybe duplicate the Simpsons was like Futurama. That was like late 90s.
Futurama premiered probably '97, and a Critic was in the mix there too. But yeah, Futurama was '97.
But
Yeah.
Futurama stuck around for sure, like definitely lasted a bit longer.
And Family Guy wasn't long after. So they found their shows that stuck around. Let's see.
Yeah, and
Here
now you
is
see a lot of stuff on oh yeah, we got The Simpsons.
this was a good one. This was the Who Shot Mr. Burns
Oh
segment.
yes. Yeah. I can remember that. It was a big moment. It was supposed to be like Who Shot JR, like the Dallas thing, and they had a cliffhanger where Mr. Burns got shot and he
Back in
landed
our
with
day,
his
we had
hands.
to wait all summer for an
Yeah.
answer. It was
He
like
landed
on the
with his hands on the west and the south. And so people thought that was a clue and they said, oh, WS, Waylon Smithers.
Waylon Smithers.
Yeah, they thought Smithers might have done it.
Yeah, I remember.
They
And
had
then they turned it around. Oh no! Then you turn it around. This was on the episode. You turn the
uh-huh.
W and the S around, and it leads to MS, which is
Yeah.
Matt Simpson, the one who really shot him.
Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen that 30-year-old episode.
Alan, I have early memories of watching this classic. The one I
Yeah.
associate you with this. Did you guys used to watch this all the time? The Wonder Years.
Yeah, it's a great show. I love that. Love the theme song. It was this show really it's kind of started when I was very young. It started in the 80s. I'd probably say like 86 or 87. So I would have been like, 11 years old, something like that. So it was right in my wheelhouse. And I didn't know much about, the past or, it was kind of set in the 60s or something, the 70s. There was like
I guess that
Vietnam.
was I guess it's the '60s.
Yeah, the Vietnam was kind of maybe going on, and then the theme song, which was sung by Joe Cocker apparently, but that was a cover song of a Beatles song. It was "What would you do if I
That
sang
was
out
really
of
the hook. That was
tune?"
really the hook for anybody to go watch the show. Was that opening?
Yeah, and it had like the old footage of them, playing baseball, and that was Fred Savage. So you got Fred Savage, who was great. Um, he also, he was in Princess Bride in that time, and then I think he wasn't Flight of the Navigator. I don't think. No, it
It
was
says
another.
late 60s. So the show started in the late 60s and then goes to the early 70s. And you see him grow up and
Yeah.
he makes it into college and who knows what.
I don't know if he ever got to college. I
No,
don't know
high
if it went
school.
that long. Yeah, I think it was mostly high school. It was about, it was about his family, but it was also about Winnie was his like kind of girlfriend, and then I don't remember the friend's name. He was kind of a nerdy
I want to say
character.
Arnold, but
No, because that's their last name. He's Kevin Arnold.
oh,
Kevin Arnold is his name, so it wasn't Arnold.
well,
But
they
yeah,
used to say that that guy grew up to be Marilyn Manson, which wasn't true.
that was a rumor. Yeah, that's right. That was that kid was randomly uh,
Well,
tied in with that.
it's a lot of random
Um,
here. Let's see, Frasier.
yeah, Frasier. I remember Brandon would watch me watch this show, and I don't think he was a fan.
I would
He
watch you.
went,
Who's that? Who's the guy above Frasier there? I mean, is that?
oh, his name was like Bulldog, I think. He was kind of
Oh,
like the sports guy on the. I watched this show pretty religiously. I do. I know a lot about this show. So yeah, you had Bulldog was the guy, the sports guy, and then I don't remember what that girl Roz. Roz was like the producer, and then you got his brother, of course.
Niles.
Niles and Daphne, Niles
Yeah.
and Daphne. That was all the drama. And this was, of course, a spin-off of Cheers, which I didn't really watch Cheers, but for
Did
some
you,
reason
you know there's a Frasier reboot on the air right now?
I do. I have heard that to be true, and I have some friends and family that have kind of gone back and watched the show, and then they are into the new thing. I don't know if I need that. Even watching the whole series again would be a lot, but
Do you
it was a
remember the
funny show at
dog's
the time.
name?
Oh,
I know it.
it wasn't Max, I don't think. Right? It was Ooh, it's a tough bit of trivia. Hold on, I can get there. Oh, yeah, I can. It's like Robbie or Rabby or something with an
Eddie.
E.
Eddie the dog.
Eddie the dog.
Well, this one on. This is the cast of SNL
Yeah,
from. So, do you know the blonde girl's name?
yeah, and oh wait, yeah, I think Melanie. No wait, I want to say Melanie. Is it Melanie Hutzel?
Isn't it Sweeney? Melanie Sweeney?
Oh, Sweeney. Wait, is it Victoria Sweeney then? Melanie.
Well, who's the brunette?
That's Hooks. Jan Hooks, something like that.
Oh, oh well. Okay, so this is good
Who
trivia.
did you
Now,
think it
Alan.
was?
Oh, well, I know there's a Julia Sweeney. There's a
Ju-
Ellen
Ju-
Cleghorn.
Oh
There's
yeah, yeah, that's Ellen Clay. Who I don't know. Remember who's Mel? I don't know who Melanie Hutzel is. So Victoria Sweeney, yeah, Ellen Cleghorn. That's right.
and then in the early. I know we're just jumping all over
Ooh.
the place now, but these are the in the early '90s. The Nicktoons debut. Do you remember when Nicktoons debuted, Ellen?
I remember it pretty well. I don't know if I like watched the exact moment, but I remember I've heard that it was like Rugrats, Doug, and
No,
maybe
it's the
Ren and
first.
Stimpy. All
Yeah, it's the first three up here. I have a pretty vivid memory of watching it over at Patrick and Ainsley's house.
yeah.
So, but then you got number 4, which was Rocco's. Number 5 was Real Monsters. Now, if you looked at this list, Alan, when did you kind of fall off here about when you?
I mean, it was really even by Real Monsters. I really wasn't. I was because I don't know when Rocco's probably I feel like came out in like 1994, 1995. So I was already like 15 or 16. And then All Real Monsters was like late 90s. So yeah, I was already pretty grown up and
Have you
out
ever
of
gone
this.
back and watched SpongeBob SquarePants?
I've seen some episodes. I've watched, but I haven't seen a lot of episodes.
What else do I got here? Remember this from the 90s?
Remember the 90s. Remember the berries. Yeah. So you got South Park.
I had this
Yeah.
poster on my wall.
Nice.
This is from the first season. These are all first season characters. So you got the aliens. You got what is it? The guy with Patrick Duffy as a leg.
He was kind of like a Bigfoot or something, isn't he? Or
Yeah,
no?
he had a name, but yeah, this was the season 1 fun.
Mr.
Hold on, you're cutting out,
Oh, you can hear me now?
Mr. Slade. What's that?
Who was the counselor? Is it Mr. Key? No,
Garrison,
Mr. Garrison. Mr.
Mr.
Garrison.
Garrison, Mr. Mackey, Big Gay Al.
Mackey. Oh, Mackey. Who's Garrison? Which one's?
Garrison is the one. Hey, no, Mackey is the one in the bottom left who's like, okay,
He
okay.
has his hand, Mr. Hand, Mr.
Well, that's Garrison.
Garrison.
That's Garrison, yeah. And Mackey's
What?
the other one. Drugs bad, okay. Then you have
Okay.
Big Gay Al. So a lot of fun. Starving Marvin, of course. Pip.
Nice.
What was I gonna say? Welcome anybody. Oh, let's see if there's any comments. No comments yet. We're talking about the 90s. Alan, did you used to get together in college and hang out with your friends and watch South Park?
I mean, we talked about South Park. It definitely came out in probably, I think it was around Christmas of 97 or 98 or something. It was like kind of making the rounds, and that first episode was like, or the Christmas thing that was kind of going around was kind of making some, it was kind of becoming viral or whatever. And then they had the first episode, and I think the first episode was where he gets abducted. But
Oh, yeah?
I was actually going to a school where we were not allowed to, have South Park on in the common area. So I probably wouldn't.
Did you ever hear that like the South Park started with like the Jesus versus Santa animation? Did you ever see that in college? Did that ever make its way to you?
I feel like I definitely remember seeing parts of it and kind of finding it on the internet. There's Patrick. Patrick's comments are popping in. Are you able to see those?
Yeah,
Hi, Patrick.
I'm directing them.
You're the one. You're posting them up. Okay, got it. Yeah. Who really shot Mr. Burns? Yeah.
Yeah. Who? I mean, I thought that was well done. All these guys could have done it, and we found out who it was. Let's see.
Yeah, there was like a whole. Wasn't there like Patrick? Maybe you remember. We found out it was the baby. Does he remember if there was like a promotion that summer or something? Like you would go and
it was in the TV guide.
Yeah, there's something in the TV guide. There was always something kind of tied in with these things.
Remember the 90s? Look at this. Doug, Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy, Rocko's Modern Life.
Now one
hold on.
show.
I want to get to the 90s, through the 90s. Yeah. So Hey Arnold, Kablam, Angry Beavers, Cat Dog, Oh Yeah, Wild Thornberry, SpongeBob. Now we're not in the 90s anymore after like SpongeBob, I feel.
Yeah.
Now the rest are after the 90s.
Now one that I'll point out on that list that I don't know if you have a screenshot
or
anything of it, but
here's our answer from the expert.
You'd win something. Yeah, what did you have to play?
Some kind of a sweepstakes.
All right, you were gonna say did you have to buy soda? Well, I was gonna say too that I'm asking Patrick, does he remember, did you have to buy like sodas or something, or you had to buy, or did you submit a thing? But the other question was, on there was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but that was actually the later version. But you remember a prime 90s cartoon for us was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Early 90s. What's the song? Heroes in a Half Shell. Heroes in a Half Shell.
And then you collect all the toys. Those are great.
So we're getting to the bottom of this whole mystery sweepstakes with Mr. Burns. Let's see.
It was definitely a sweepstakes.
But
what did you do? You collected pieces or something.
Here we go. This is The Simpsons. This is what was happening in the 90s. It's the Who Shot Mr. Burns? 1-800-COLLECT. Find out September 17th. Solve the mystery, and you could be animated with The Simpsons.
Ooh.
To enter 1-800-COLLECT. Was that like something in the 90s, Alan? 1-800-COLLECT?
Yeah, 1-800-COLLECT was when you wanted to call somebody collect. So like on a telephone. So we had these things called telephones.
Yeah.
You had them in your house.
It was funny. What was I gonna say? Oh, because like you had the commercials on TV were all for like 1-800-COLLECT. Like the commercials were all to like trying to get people to use the 1-800.
Yeah, there were several different ones. At a certain point, there was like a 777 you would call, and then there was it was all these different competing companies, and then they had calling cards also, but that was a different thing. You'd buy a calling card.
So you had to. I think you needed to know who shot Mr. Burns, and then submit who you think it was, and then you would be animated as a Simpsons character if you called 1-800-COLLECT. So the more you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. I don't remember. I think I don't think I would have remember when area codes mattered. So yeah, you got the Simpsons, lots of characters on there.
Hold on, I got more Mr. Burns stuff over here coming up.
What was your favorite episode of The Simpsons from the 90s?
Who, me?
There's a lot of good episodes, but
Grimes, Frank
Grimes, okay. That's
Frank
not your
Grimes.
favorite. Is that
Oh,
really your
that one's
favorite?
got a lot of gold in it. That one does have a lot of gold in it. Now let's go deeper into the 90s sweepstake for the Who Shot Mr. Burns.
Okay.
Now I'm looking at cups.
Yeah, probably 7-Eleven or something. Yeah, I see 7-Eleven,
The
Pepsi.
7-Eleven is tied in. Find out who done it on The Simpsons. And then Alan had this stuff on his wall.
Probably.
Because you like to hang stuff on your wall. And I
or
remember
put it on my desk and stuff.
posters from the TV Guide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you didn't ask me what my favorite episode is, but I'll share with you. My favorite is probably the Who Needs the Quickie Mart, when Apu gets he has to leave the Quickie Mart, and then he sings the Who Needs the Quickie Mart? Who needs the Quickie Mart?
I remember the commercial for it because I remember a lot of things. They were like saying Apu's gonna go off to find the meaning of life, and like he went and goes and asks somebody a question. Patrick will remember better than I do, but he goes and he asks a question, and he goes like, "Can I ask you a question?" And he's like, "That's the only question you get." After he asks, "Can I ask you a question?"
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that happened.
Wait, was that the one where he was eating the peppers? Is that what you're kind of
No,
thinking of?
this is the one where after he sings that song and leaves the Quickie Mart, he goes off on a soul mission.
Oh, yeah.
He goes to try to figure his life out. See, I haven't watched these in 20 years, so I don't remember all the details.
Yeah, we gotta have
But
a marathon.
But I remember that he did not get to ask the question he wanted to ask.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. I'd have to watch. For saying that was my favorite episode, I don't even remember how it ended.
Here we go. Yes.
Wait, you have 3 questions.
So Patrick, he says, he gets to some kind of a monk or whatever, and he says, "You have 3 questions." And Homer asks 3 questions. Is this the original Quickie Mart? And then what? Are you sure? Is it really? Yeah. There we go.
But then, really what was he actually?
He's saying, so Patrick's also saying that the Apu goes back to the original Quickie Mart. That's like his journey.
Right. Okay.
Really? Yes. And then,
what was he going to ask them? What would he wanted to ask them?
I mean, I'd have to go to the synopsis or have Patrick chime in. Let's see. So, so much to discuss here on the Brandon K Show. But that was definitely a good episode. I don't even know what episode it is, so I'm not, that's why. Thank you. Come again.
Yeah, he's since become a controversial character. They don't use Apu on the Simpsons anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
We haven't even touched on TGI Friday, TGIF, or
Family Matters with Urkel.
Yeah.
Boy Meets World podcast.
Wait, hold on. You're jumping ahead. Because it was Full House, Family Matters, Step by Step, and probably a filler of some kind. Maybe Boy Meets World, but I don't know. Boy Meets World. Okay, so this is something interesting. I'm going to hear your take on this.
Yes.
So Boy Meets World, they have a podcast, and they came out with the Girl Meets World.
Yes.
And apparently, after Girl Meets World kind of went off the air and they started this podcast, Ben Savage has kind of ghosted all the rest of the cast. Have you heard about that?
I have, because I see these clips, and they invited him to be on the Boy Meets World pod,
Yeah.
but he was never into it. And
No, they aren't saying he was never into it. They said originally he was kind of into it. He was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like a cool idea." And then they kind of really were getting things going, and then he kind of bailed on it, and then he kind of ghosted them, and then now he's like running for Congress or something.
he's trying to update his image. And Ben Savage brother to
Mhm.
Fred
Yeah,
Savage
Fred Savage. Yeah,
from the
yeah.
Wonder
So
Years.
that was they were a famous family. Oh, and there was a show. Do you remember the show that Fred Savage was on in the '90s after Wonder Years?
I don't. Tell us.
It was called Working.
Yeah.
It was called Working, and he was like in an office. It was almost kind of like the first The Office.
Oh yeah, when he was growing up, I actually do remember this.
Yeah, and it
This
was like, and then the
this
theme
show came
song.
out in 1997. It was must see TV at the time. Alan, you like Fred Savage, so you would watch this show.
Yeah, it was only on for a little bit, maybe a year or so. But yeah, this theme song was "I don't want to work. I
Yes.
just want to bang on the drum all day."
I remember this song through you. Now look at this. These are
Who's on there?
actually. Are you seeing this? So you got Kenny
Yeah, there's
Banya.
some.
Kenny
Oh,
Banya
he's on the
from
far right,
Seinfeld.
right? Okay. Who was the second one you said?
I just said Kenny Banya.
Maybe
And
yeah.
then that blonde was on some other show. These people were all on other 90s shows.
Yeah. Was the girl in the middle? That's oh no. I was thinking that was the girl on Just Shoot Me, but I think that's somebody different.
So
Yeah,
it's a lot of
Working.
fun. A lot of fun. Good callback,
So
Alan. 97. 97 callback,
yeah,
Working.
Working.
I
And
would
then,
have guessed that was like 2001, but you're right. That came out in 1997.
I mean, I wouldn't even have known what I didn't think of it as maybe being the 90s. Actually, 97, no, I do because 97 sounded late. I thought that was like mid 90s or something.
Oh.
But
Arden
yeah,
Mirren, she was from Mad TV.
who?
Arden Mirren, she was the
Uh,
blonde in there.
oh,
There
okay.
this so there's
So we were talking about TGIF. So at some point you had Family Matters, you had Urkel. Did I do that?
You know what my
Oh,
favorite TGIF show is still?
yeah,
And I've gone back and watched it on like Disney Plus or something.
it holds up. Okay.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was actually earlier 2000s and stuff, but that popped in. It was a very popular show on TGIF.
Sabrina started in 95, bro.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, and that brings up another classic 90s show that she first started on, which was Clarissa Explains It All.
Clarissa Explains It All. Yeah, I
Are you sure it started in 95? You're telling me
I got
that
96. I double checked
96.
and it
Wow.
started in 96. I was there. I
Crazy.
remember it.
All right, so we had
And she moved on to the college years by by early 2000s. They were doing the college years. But
yeah.
for anybody out there, we got 2 people watching. This is the 90s show to go back and watch. Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah. Oh, they don't even have. Is it someone holding? Oh yeah. Someone's holding Salem because that's the creepiest part of that show. I mean, it's funny. He's a funny character, but that puppet is just terrible. Even
He's funny. He's an animatronic. He's funny.
what time is it?
4:30.
Oh, okay, I gotta pop
Well,
off.
everybody, we had a lot of time going down memory lane here. Let's do a quick wrap up. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Simpsons, Who Shot Mr. Burns sweepstake. Patrick, you missed the Capitol Critters. This was a 90s show that the Critic, of course, go back and watch. We covered all these great topics, and we
I'll have
might.
to check in again another time. It was fun to see you, Brandon. I'll talk to you
Um,
soon. Okay, you can wrap up. I gotta go.
why is Alan broadcasting from the car hole?
Because that's where I am. It's in my studio. I'm here in my garage. Okay, bye, buddy.
Thank you for joining me, Alan. It's a lot of fun to get together with friends and family and talk about our favorite 90s entertainment, and I will be doing that all week on the Brandon K Show. I'm hoping to get together. None of your damn business. No. I am hoping to get together with a puppet. I'm hoping to get a puppet on this show. His name is Frankie Worm. He's on TikTok, and he's agreed to come on the show. So this week, I'm hoping, God, please let a puppet come on my show. Frankie Worm. And as a backup, Patrick has a puppet. So keep watching. It is the Brandon K Show Entertainment Roundup Week, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.